question 1, we have two different possible states of the economy. There's either a boom or a bust. The boom is 75%, the bust is 25%. And then we have 3 different stocks, A, B, and C, and they each have different returns given that state of the economy. So what's the expected return of an equally weighted portfolio of these 3 stocks? Well, I have gone ahead and typed all the stocks in so that we don't have to worry about that. So the first thing that we're going to do is just calculate the expected return of each of the stocks. And we can do that, let me move my mouse, using the sum product command on Excel. Sum product is going to be your new best friend. So I did stock A times the probability of the payoffs for that, and then I locked the columns that had the probability of gloom and doom. There's probability right there. The message that I want you to get from this exercise is that there is a 75% chance that stock A gives a return of 6% and a 25% chance that it gives a return of 14%. And when you multiply 0.75 times 0.06 plus 0.25 times 0.14, you are going to get 8%. Since we locked the column and the rows for the probability, we can just copy and paste that across. And then we need to do weights. If it's an equal weighted portfolio, it's going to be 1/3. Oops, I'll just copy and paste that. And so therefore, the expected return on the whole portfolio, let me add stock right here. On the whole portfolio is just going to be the sum product of that and the weights. Let's put that in percent terms. And 14.58 is what we get. So the intuition here is that each of these stocks has an expected return because there's some probability of that stock paying 6% and some probability of it paying 14%, and we do that for all the stocks using sum product and dragging it across. We add the weights, and the expected return on the portfolio is going to be the weighted sum of those. So we'll get 33% times that, 33% times that, 33% times that, and it adds up to 14.58. Now, the second part asks for the variance on these. Well, technically it doesn't ask for a variance on this part, but we're going to calculate it anyway so that we can do the second part. Oh, it does. Well, he adds it in his solution. So during class, I explained all of these things. I went over this entire Module 8 example. There is a slightly easier way to do this, and I'm going to do it here. All right, so if you have this portfolio, you have 2 possible portfolios. So if you hold this portfolio, you have 33% weight in each of these, and you have only 2 states of the world. You have 2 possible outcomes for the portfolio. One is that you end up in a boom, and you get those returns multiplied by those weights, and the other is that you end up in a bust. And let me just get rid of a few decimal places. I'll make that a little bigger. So we have 2 possible returns. We either make 18% by investing, by having a boom happen, or we make 3% by having a bust happen. Let's get the deviation from the mean. I'll go ahead and just wrap these. I'm going to make these numbers too. There we go. So this shows us on average, well, for each of these scenarios, what the deviation from the mean is, and then we're going to square it right here. Yeah, I'll type it over here. So our variance is going to be the weighted average of these squared terms. This is sort of the baby variance. So sum product of that and the probability. And the standard deviation is going to be that to the power of 0.5. So let's put that in percent terms just so it's easier to see. I'm going to highlight it, highlight the variance, and highlight the return. 14.58, variance of 0.0042, and standard deviation of 6.5. So that's our solution for that. The next part of the question is really easy. We just have to change the weights. So 20% in asset A and B and 60% in C. 0.2, 0.2, 0.6. We end up with a a return of 18.05 and a standard deviation of 10.65. The variance is going to be 0.0113. And if we look at the solutions, that's exactly what we got. The message here, the reason that this works is because it's kind of the mathematical equivalent of the same thing that we did in this class worksheet. It's just we took a few shortcuts and we did it a little bit easier and not so intensively. If you had to do this on your own, this works. This Excel format, if you memorize this for a test or something, you would be just fine. You would just have to make sure that you got the number of columns correct for the number of stocks and things like that. No reason you couldn't use this on an ongoing basis.